Picturesque Sabi in Mpumalanga province, gloriously balmy winter weather in the Lowveld and plenty of sights to see in a region steeped in South African history. Sabi is now synonymous with the start of the Sasol Rally, with the event this year the halfway mark in the Stanek National Rally Championship. Crews from all over South Africa converged on Sabi for an event that always provides for drama. Going into the Sasol, six-time South African champions Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide held a 14-point lead over reigning champions Jannie Havoc and Douglas Judd. There's some interesting battles further down and in the class championships. Carrying the Sasol banner this year were Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon in the Sasol Ford Escort.
Yeah, I'm more hungry this time. It was really disappointing for the team. We're very confident for our home rally. It's the 7th Sasol Rally, and it's got a tradition, this rally, where the Sasol Fords have won twice in the past, once with Sorrel, once with Enza. And I'd really like to pull a hat-trick here for them. You know, I'm really proud of my sponsor. They've done a lot of hard work for us, and the team's worked out. So I think we're very confident, and we're going to go out there and do the business.
First car flagged away by Motorsport South Africa Managing Director Beulah Verolini was that of reigning national champions and easy Stanek Rally of South Africa winners Jannie Havoc and Douglas Judd in the factory VW Golf. With a huge crowd at the start, the Golf pair were followed by the Castrol Toyota Conquest of former champions Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide, and the Sasol Ford of Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon.
Nick Haddon, the Sasol Ford Escort kicks off.
6 special stages made up the first section of the rally, with crews heading from Sabi for the Tweefontein, Krosskop and Hazyview regions. These areas provide for some of the most beautiful scenery in South Africa, but rally crews are in too much of a hurry to sit back and admire the view. Havoc and Judd in the VW Golf were looking to establish an early lead, but lost a couple of seconds on stage 1 when a 12-ton truck strayed onto the route. That gave the reigning champions an early wake-up call. The route was clear of unwanted traffic by the time Damso and Bonafide came charging along, but race cam action from the Castrol Toyota shows that the position of the midday sun and dust provided for tricky conditions. Varying road conditions come with the territory where rally crews are concerned, and Damso and Bonafide was second quickest through the special stage. Sasol Ford crew Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon were third on the road, with plenty of crowd support for the Randburg driver and his Cape Town navigator. Stage 1 was not all plain sailing, with a couple of rough patches and the awkward sun. And dust from Damso and Bonafide up ahead also made life a little difficult for Piazzamuso and Haddon. The Sasol Ford set the 4th fastest time on the stage, and they were 7 seconds behind the eventual winners Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the team total Toyota Conquest. The Italians set a blistering early pace, and behind them a terrific VW Golf battle was expected at the top of Class A7 between championship leaders Chuck van der Walt and Cindy Harding and Pretoria crew Barry Probelar and Mike Burrows.
First event we did was the Cape Town one, which went extremely well. Then on the last event, which was the Swaziland event, we were going very well until the suspension broke. So this is now the 3rd time we can see what happens. I hope it's going to go well. We had a bit of engine trouble up to now, but we've replaced the damaged parts, and I hope it's going to go well.
More magnificent scenery, but an early event problem for Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley. The special stage 1 winners slid off the road, and in the process, the team total Toyota Conquest picked up right front shock absorber problems. Special stage 2 also provided a little excitement for Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz, who were running at the head of the Class A6 battle in the Dunair Toyota Conquest. Race cam action as the talented Fecken lost concentration for a split second, with the Conquest going into a gentle spin. No damage done, and Fecken and Lukowitz had opened up a slight lead over Class A6 rivals Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris. The team total crew were coming under pressure from Group N leaders Hannes Hrobler and Dave McGregor in the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra, with former SA champion Hrobler back in rallying after a 3-year hiatus, enjoying himself hugely.
If the adrenaline is pumping, I mean, that's what you're living for, you know, and that's why I started rallying again. And I think I'm already a little bit wind up today, a little bit earlier than the previous event, and I think it's because there's more competition coming, and I'm just glad for Group N it's going so well.
The Group N category for standard cars has come alive in the Stanek National Championship, and Hrobler and McGregor found themselves embroiled in another battle with Cape crew Diffie Moreira and Dani Duval, who were running at the head of Class N2 in the Goodwood Auto Electrical Toyota Corolla. Hrobler and McGregor were at the front of Class N3, and right behind Moreira and Duval were another Class N3 crew in Natalians Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen. Up at the service point, another team total crew, Lawrence and Paisley, were in trouble.
What's the problem?
The bolt at the bottom of the strut lost. The shock is flapping around inside.
Did that happen on the stage?
Yeah, on this one. So we're going to try and find a nut for it. See if we can get it through.
It started off very well.
Yeah, the car is very, very much better than it was. It's handling lovely. Brakes are nice now. I did a lot of work on that. So yeah, if we can sort that out, then we can go again. Yeah.
The monument at Cobain's Pass is another Lowveld landmark, with the main road between Crosskop and Hazyview featuring a remarkable piece of engineering. On roads of a completely different nature, battle was in full swing, and Yanni Habach and Doug Judd took 3 seconds off Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide in special stage 3. That put the VW Golf crew into a 1-second lead, with the team total VW Golf of Barry Krobbelaar and Mike Burrows closing in on Class A7 leaders Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding. Mixing it with the front-runners were the impressive Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz in the Dunare Toyota Conquest. Fecken comes from a rally family with father Harry and uncles Lambert and Ruloff, all top rally drivers in their time, and the young Pretoria engineer is a chip off the old block. Hannes Krobbelaar and Dave McGregor are a little longer in the tooth than Fecken, but rallying is a sport where experience is a major factor. The versatile Krobbelaar is also a former national off-road champion, and he and McGregor still had the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra in a narrow lead at the front of the Group N field. Further back, Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley were back in action, but not for long, with the team total Toyota Conquest expiring on stage 3 with a blown motor. That was a major blow to their championship hopes, but the demise of the Natalians moved Fecken and Lukowitz and other frontrunners up the pecking order, with Fecken making no bones about their early tactics.
Yeah, our tactics is to go very quick this afternoon to see if we can get as much people as possible, and then tonight, and where the dust will be a problem, maybe we have less of a problem.
Fecken was voicing everyone's fears about the notorious dust factor in the night special stages at the end of day 1. Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide knew the importance of being first on the road after the regroup and pulled out all the stops over the last 3 stages in section 1. Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon had dropped around 25 seconds behind Damso and Bonafide and Habach and Judd, with special stage 5 unkind to Class A7 leaders Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding. A gearbox problem dropped them from 5th to 12th and gave the Class A7 lead to Barry Krobbelaar and Mike Burrows. Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz were still going like a train at the front of the Class A6 race and were right behind the 3 Class A8 cars. Also going along steadily were Italians Tony Ball and Alec Harris in the Bulwer Park VW Golf. They were chasing Krobbelaar and Burrows, with an interesting situation developing behind the Class A7 leaders. Apart from Ball and Harris, the tightly bunched Class A7 contingent included 2 other VW Golf crews in Willem Lowe and Johan Barnard, and Keith Coleman and Uwe Koch. The little group of Class A7 cars was being harried by Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, who jumped into contention in Class N2 in the team total Toyota Conquest. And there was also steady progress from Christo Ackermann and Andre Pfeiffer in the Hencom Class A7 Golf. Kali van der Merwe and Andre Duplessis in an aging rear-wheel drive Nissan Skyline brought back memories, and while they had fun, Damso and Bonafide eked out an 8-second lead at the regroup. With it came the all-important #1 spot on the road for the night stages, which lay ahead.
Serge, mission accomplished so far?
Yes, we've had a few good stages towards the end, which puts us in the lead. We had a bit of dust problems, but at least we put us 8 seconds ahead, so it's very close still.
Now, there should be a regroup this evening.
Yeah, well, it should be a regroup. That's why we started earlier today, to make sure that we get a regroup, so I hope it happens, for my sake anyway.
One of the rising young stars in the Group N category is Opel Corsa driver Richard Bem, who normally has fellow rookie Jonathan Bright sitting alongside him. For the Sasol, young Bem was partnered by former South African champion Martin Botha.
The Rally of South Africa decided that it wasn't in my best interests to carry on going with 2 new people in the car. It's more difficult enough starting off rallying, and I think we're both working against each other. It's working well at the moment, and we'll see how it goes.
The Opel crew also brought a touch of humour to what is a serious business. Section 2 of the rally was also made up of 6 special stages, with the action contained in a triangle formed between Sabi, Hazyview and the overnight stop in Nelspruit. Proceedings got underway with a huge and festive crowd turning out for a short spectator stage to the centre of Sabi. The crowds love every minute of these short town stages, But clipping curbs and damaging cars is an ever-present risk where crews are concerned. Rally leaders Damso and Bonafide took it easy because their spotlights didn't work and dropped 4 seconds to Havoc and Judd in the VW Golf. That cut the gap between the two crews to just 4 seconds. A great time was being had by all, and it was Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon who revel in these short and tight special stages who set the fastest time in the Sasol Ford Escort. Piazzamuso has plenty of kart racing experience, but was sailing a little close to the wind when the Sasol Ford Escort clipped a curb. A terrific performance during the daylight stages had lifted Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz into 4th overall in the Dunair Toyota Conquest. They also led Class A6, which is for 1600cc cars, and were ahead of the Class A7 contingents in more powerfully built modified 2-litre cars. The dangers of clipping curbs were amply illustrated by Class A7 leaders Barry Hrobelaar and Mike Burrows, and that little rush of blood put the team total pair out of the rally with suspension damage. Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aries got away with their little brush with the curbs, but for the second year in a row, Tony Ball in the Bulwer Park VW Golf got it all wrong later in the stage and was also later forced into retirement because of a broken steering arm. There were plenty of budding young rally drivers in the crowd, and even the experienced Hannes Hrobelaar showed how easy it is to be caught out on these sort of stages, with Diffie Moreira and Donny Duval taking a more circumspect approach in the Toyota Corolla. In more traditional rally country, and by stage 9, Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon were now 3rd on the road behind the 2 leaders, Havoc and Damso. At the end of this stage, though, the Volkswagen service crew were forced to repair a damaged rear stub axle on the Golf, and that dropped Havoc and Judd behind the Sasol Ford Escort on the road. A terrific stage 8, when they took 10 seconds off Damso and Bonafide, put the VW Golf crew back into a 6-second lead. But 3rd on the road meant Havoc and Judd faced an even more serious dust problem. Race cam action is from the Fecken Lukowitz Dunair Toyota, and it showed just how tricky it was in the forest at night. With Barry Hrobelaar and Mike Burrows and Tony Ball and Alec Harris out of the rally, Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding were back in front in Class A7 and climbing up the leaderboard. But there were times when the dust reduced the Reeks towing VW Golf almost to a crawl. Havoc and Judd still held a tenuous lead, but the South African champions had a battle on their hands, and no one knew it more than Havoc.
You know, being second on the road at night in the dust is very difficult, and you know, we get these pockets of dust where we really have to slow down and just crawl through it. And when there's no dust, we really got to go very hard. And up until now, we're maintaining sort of the distance between Serge and ourselves. I think we've got a few seconds lead on him, and you know, for the next 2 stages like that, I'll be happy.
The battle at the front of the Sasol Rally was turned upside down on special stage 10, the 3rd last on day 1. Rally leaders Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide had a trouble-free run in the Castrol Toyota Conquest, but behind them, reigning champions Yanni Havoc and Doug Judd virtually put themselves out of the running. The reigning champions dropped nearly 90 seconds on Damso and Bonafide when a little off-road excursion turned into a major problem. The VW Golf stalled, and while a frustrated Havoc and Judd were battling to get mobile again, young Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aries moved into 5th place in the team total Toyota Conquest and took some time off Class A6 leaders Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz. The final special stage of the day was another spectator affair through the streets of Nelspruit with some significant changes in the pecking order. In the Group N category, Cliff Blackburn and Johan Klaassen were now chasing after new leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper. Keith Coleman and Uwe Koch had steadily worked their way up the leaderboard, but still trailed Class A7 leaders Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding by 35 seconds. Like early Group N leaders Hrobelaar and McGregor, Cape crew Diffie Moreira and Donny Duval had dropped back slightly, but the day ended with Damso and Bonafide firmly in control of proceedings with a 2-minute lead over Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon in the Sasol Ford, with Havoc and Judd a further 5 seconds in arrears. Van der Walt and Harding led Class A7, Fecken and Lukowitz Class A6, and Saunders and Hooper the Group N category. When the rally restarted in Nelspruit on day 2, matters were looking rosy for Damso and Bonafide.
I think still everybody's going to give it a good hard go. I'm sure Yanni's not going to sit there. So between him and Apollo might have a good go team. So it'll be interesting, I think, for the whole day.
Another good crowd on hand at the restart, and this time it was the mayor of Nelspruit who did the honours on the start ramp. There were high hopes in the Sasol camp for Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon, but the Sasol Ford Escort pair only had 5 seconds in hand over South African champions Yanni Havoc and Doug Judd in the VW Golf, with a battle royal in the offing. Both crews had a major task on their hands if they were to catch Damso and Bonafide. Once again, the weather was perfect as crews headed for the 5 special stages between White River and Sabi that made up Section 3 of the rally. With a 2-minute lead, Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide could afford to conserve the Castrol Toyota Conquest. There were no such luxuries for Havoc and Judd, who had to force the pace, while down in Class A6, Jürgen Flecken and Dave Lukowitz were also sitting pretty.
Pull up a gap over JP and Chart. We're more than 2 minutes ahead of JP. So we've got quite a lead. We must just protect that lead and stay on the road.
Class A7 leaders Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding had done a good job to fight back to 6th overall.
We're just basically going to try and win the class. You know, we're not going to go overboard and take the whole group anything. But we'll see what happens. You know, it's a long day today. We'll just keep it on the road and see what happens.
For a number of the crews, the rally had reached a stage where decisions needed to be made.
We've got to try and make up just over 2 minutes, and that equates to just over a second a kilometre. So I think it's a bit of a tall order, but we will try for 1 or 2 stages, see how it goes. If the risks become too high, then I think we'll just settle for second.
A similar situation existed for Class A7 leaders Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding in the Reeks towing VW Golf.
Well, we're still battling with a brake problem. It really scares me when I started to brake hard. So I can't, you know, you sort of start to hesitate then, and I would like to go a little bit faster today to try and see if I can't make up 1 place. But at this point in time, I'm not too confident with the car. So we'll see how it progresses through the day.
The Group N category was again a seesaw affair. Team total pair Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen were chasing after Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, and in turn were under attack from Hannes Grobler and Dave McGregor in the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra, who lost time in the latter stages of Section 2. Steadily working their way up the leaderboard were veterans Skalk Berger and Thilo van Westenhagen in the Godrich Toyota Conquest, who were now second to Saunders and Hooper in Class N2. Behind Berger and van Westenhagen, Cape crew Diffie Moreira and Donny de Vol were also playing a catch-up game after also losing ground at the end of day 1. Eastern Cape driver Gijs Klein and Gauteng co-driver Caroline Simmer in another team total entry were running a steady third in Class N3, with Cape youngster Richard Bem and Martin Buerter in Opel Corsa very much a part of the Class N2 battle. A horde of Group N cars were fighting for top 10 finishes, with Wiley Harrington and Neil Faree now in firm control in Class N1 in another Nissan Sentra. At a service point along the route, Cliff Blackman summed up the Group N situation.
Things are happening already.
Yeah, we started this morning with, I think, about 30 seconds between the first 4 Group N cars, and already there's been 1 change, and yeah, it's very hot out there at the moment. So the idea is just to keep it together today, but we have to push. There's nothing we can do, so we're all trying as hard as we can.
In the heat of the Group N battle, Diffie Moreira and Donny de Vol had a little off-road excursion, and at the service point, technical crew were frantically working on rear suspension damage. Elsewhere in the forests in the Sabi area, crews were still at loggerheads, with Keith Coleman and Uwe Koch making good progress. Dolf Coetzee and Bram Harting were headed for retirement in an aging Toyota Conquest, but Lucas van der Merwe and Gideon Trollope were still having fun in the Nissan Stanza, with the pair now leading Class S20 ahead of motor journalist Doug Kemsley and Jerry Herricker in the Castrol Toyota Hilux. Class S20 does not count towards the Stanek Championship, but Kemsley and Herricker were leading the Stanek Bucky Challenge. Nico Higgs and Menno Havelaar were now on the fringes of a top 10 finish, with Jan Delpoort and Fani Björkes also going well in another of the Class S20 entries. A wife's work is never done, and Skalk Berger's wife, Sue, was pressed into a car cleaning role, but hubby was happy with the progress of the Godrich Toyota.
Oh, it's going all right so far, but we broke an engine mounting, so we're losing a bit of time because we want to break it all together. We just try to get to the refuel and change it. But otherwise, the car's going much better than yesterday. yesterday we had a lot of hassles, but today's going fine.
Matters weren't so fine with Diffie Moreira and Donny Duval, with the Goodwood auto-electrical Toyota Corolla precariously perched on the side of the road in special stage 18. That was the end of their rally, and with Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper also running into problems, Hannes Krobler and Dave McGregor were back in the lead in the Group N category at the final regroup.
The old team coming from behind again. I think that's where we operate the best, is when we're under pressure. I must say that Hannes has been absolutely superb. The stages have been fantastic, and it's been one of those where you've really had to use a lot of skill and experience. And I think we've been banking on that in these last couple of stages. We've been drawing deep on the experience, and it's helped us a lot.
The final section of the rally was made up of 5 special stages in the Sabi, White River and Nelspruit Triangle, with huge crowds following the progress of the cars. At the regroup, Castrol Toyota Conquest pair, Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide, were still firmly in control of proceedings. Special stage 19 was the first stage after the final regroup, and drama struck with the demise of Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon in the Sasol Ford Escort. Spectacular progress was halted at the end of the stage with a blown engine, and South African champions Yanni Habak and Douglas Judd were now in second place, with the impressive Class A6 leaders, Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz, moving into third place in the Dunair Toyota Conquest. Fecken and Lukowitz were circumspect at one of stage 19's danger spots, but the stage provided for plenty of other action. JP Damso and Pierre Ari slid off the road, and heavy contact with a bank left the Team Total Toyota Conquest a little worse for wear. Port Elizabeth traffic cop Keith Coleman, affectionately known to rally followers as Inspector Coleman, and Uwe Koch also moved up a spot after the retirement of the Sasol Ford Escort. They were now in a solid 7th and 2nd in Class A7. Behind them, Team Total pair Craig Trott and Brian Duncan were still negotiating Special Stage 19, and in carbon copy fashion followed teammates Damso and Aris into a bank. No shortage of work at the service point for Team Total service crews, with damage to the Damso Aris car a little more extensive than they would have liked.
There's this long, fast straight, and at the end there was a 90 right. And we braked a bit late there, and we overshot and went into the bank. So now we damaged the oil cooler, and it's pushed out all the oil. So we had to freewheel towards the end. Luckily there was a bit of downhill. But also the engine, I don't think it's good anymore. It's weakened the engine.
Up at Special Stage 21, anyone from the Toyota Motorsport team would have had heart failure when Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide almost got themselves into a terrible tangle. The pair were cruising towards their 3rd win of the season, with Yanni Habak and Doug Judd fighting a losing battle in the factory VW Golf. Craig Trott and Brian Duncan were back in action in a slightly modified Team Total Toyota Conquest, with the pair also now into the top 10. At the front of the Group N category, Hannes Krobler and Dave McGregor in the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra now had a little breathing space over Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen. Now entering its final stages, the Sasol Rally still had a sting in the tail, with the stage at the picturesque Witklip Dam providing drama. First, the Coleman and Koch VW Golf came limping through, minus the left front wheel. Behind them, the JP Damso Pierre Aris Toyota Conquest had finally expired, with crew and willing helpers trying to push the car out of the stage. The unfortunate Saunders and Hooper were also in the wars, and sudden problems for crews ahead of them lifted Skalkberger and Thilo van Westenhagen into the top 10.
Yeah, we got a puncture about 2 kilometers from the end of the last stage. We weren't pushing too hard, we were a minute ahead in the class. And then coming out of the stage up this road, we've broken the wiring harness with the rubber from the wheel rubbing against it.
The final stage of the Sasol Rally was a spectacular super special stage on the main road between Nelspruit and White River. With 2 cars in the special stage together, it gave a huge crowd plenty to cheer, but Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide were all but home and dry. Yanni Habak and Doug Judd were trying until the very end, but there was an anxious moment for Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz in the Dunair Toyota Conquest. With 3rd place in the bag, and with a good lead over 4th place Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding, the pair almost came unstuck with a little rush of blood that could have had serious consequences. The Super Special Stage provided a spectacular finale to one of the most popular events on the Stanek National Rally Championship calendar. And after coming so close to victory last year, Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide made no mistake this time round. consolidate their championship lead. A great third for Fecken and Lukowitz, who also took Class A6. Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding fought back for fourth and Class A7 honours, with another tremendous performance from Krobler and McGregor, who won the Group N category and Class N3. Class N2 went to Skalk Berger and Thilo van Vestenhagen, with Wiley Harrington and Neil Faree comfortable Class N1 winners.
We got our show together again, so now we can run in front again. After the last event, it wasn't a very good performance, but now at least we've got things together again, so we'll see the next event.
The third victory of the season for Damso and Bonafide, and there was also the traditional champagne for second place, Jannie Haddock and Doug Judd. But the performances of the rally came from delighted third-place finishers, Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz in the Dunair Toyota Conquest, and Group N winners, Hannes Krobler and Dave McGregor, who were fifth overall in the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra.